Here we go. Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to another Wednesday concert here at Valley College. Those of you watching on video out there later. Today we're celebrating nationalism. There's a lot of it in the air lately with our upcoming election. It just works out timing-wise to be pretty appropriate. You're going to be presented today, as you see, and you're going to be participating in a couple I'm sure you're happy about. Oh, there's our last singer, great. A couple of sing-alongs of national anthems, and each singer can tell you, maybe will tell you a little bit about them, about the national anthem, but I'll be projecting the English lyrics of them on the screen, so you can sort of follow along and look for these common characteristics. We'll get to that in just a second. I think that's enough. There's concerts coming up you can see, and some info on the back, and other than that, I'd like to invite Ms. Natalie Pang, one of our collaborators, on stage. If you will all stand, please. Could someone give us a drum roll? Bravo, yes, applaud yourselves. Okay, so before we get to the next one, I wanted to share just a little bit of information about, we've talked about this in my class, but for those of you who aren't in my class, this hopefully can sort of fill in the gaps a little bit. A lot of common characteristics there you see of national anthems across the world. Speaking of majesty, triumph, they're bold, they're inspiring, they're typically melodic and singable, but of course one of the criticisms of the U.S. national anthem is it's not necessarily the most singable tune, right? As you might just have noticed, it has quite a wide melodic range. Depending on what key it's played in, it can be difficult to sing, not so easy, but typically they're easier to sing. They're reflective of culture and history, they instill pride, often there's percussion involved. Sometimes they mention the instrumentation of it, the trumpets bursting or whatever it happens to be. They're typically easy to remember, they often repeat, they have repetition, major keys, they're bright, they're energetic. They're low on the list, some are militaristic. Of course, you can see from ours, very militaristic, right? Another criticism of our national anthem from some when it was established was that it was too specific to one particular battle. The battle that took place in Baltimore, at Fort McHenry, and the witnessing of that battle, and so on. And then that immediately made some people feel maybe a little bit left out. Well, it's about that battle in that city, but what about LA, right? What about the Dodgers? But anyway, so these things can happen, right? But anyway, these are common characteristics. So as you're listening to these different national anthems throughout the day, the concert, keep some of these in mind. And then there's some other information on the back of your program that can sort of relate to national anthems and so on. All right, so then with that, I'd like to invite Lisa up, and she's going to sing for us the French national anthem.
revolution. So it's going to be really very militaristic and very, what do I want to say, forceful. The story, as you can see from the translation, is it's all about, hey everybody, all of this horribleness is happening, and it's time to take up arms and defend our country because we are French and we deserve it. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
So a little history behind this song. So if you don't know, Guam is a small island by the Philippines. It is a U.S. territory. However, it's not a state, so the people there actually aren't allowed to vote for president. So that's something that's being worked on right now. And also, the Chamorro language, which is the language of the indigenous people of the island, was banned from 1917 to 1970. So in 1919, this anthem was created and written in English, and then in 1970 was written in the Chamorro native language, which is the version I will be singing for you. Be because actually part of the story of this song is it's not actually written really anywhere. So she worked with me to transcribe the entire song. So thank you.
So a world premiere of sorts.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I'm going to share with you the national anthem of Sweden. It's sort of related to my background. I'm of Scandinavian heritage. My mother was Danish, so one of the 4 Scandinavian countries. And I've listened to all of the national anthems. They're similar in style, which is not surprising. And as you can see from the lyrics up here, in this particular case, it's very much talking about the landscape of Scandinavia, of Sweden at this point, relating to the mountains and the sea and the air and so on. So that, again, one of the common characteristics can be sort of an extolling of the natural beauty of the place. And one other thing to point out that and can be the case with a number of national anthems is the composer of the music is unknown. The other possible characteristic is that tunes can be borrowed from other places. So there are famous national anthems that were written by, the tune comes from Mozart or Haydn, for example. But in many cases, the tune may have been borrowed from somewhere else, or in this case, it's anonymous. Please welcome Amparo Chipote to the stage.
Hello, my name is Amparo Chipote. I was born in Peru, in South America, for if somebody doesn't know where it is. And Spanish is our name, it's our language. And Spaniards came to our country prehistorically, they stayed many, many years. In 1821, the Argentine general came to help us. Argentina is a very big country, and they were a little in advance, more European, and they came and they helped us to be liberated from the Spaniards. That was 1821, July 28. In August, the first week of August, they decided that we needed an anthem, a hymn, and he put a contest between the musicians and the poets, and finally they decided, there were like many people, but they picked the right song for whatever history. The words are by José de la Torre Ugarte, and the music is by José Bernardo Alcedo. And basically, as we obtained the language, and the religion from the Spaniards. And it's a hymn. It's also a little religious, and it's an anthem too, and it's very militant. Somos libres, seamos, seamos, seamos por siempre, y ante niegue sus luces, sus luces, sus luces, el sol, que faltemos al voto solemne, que la patria le eterno elevó, que faltemos al voto solemne, que la patria le eterno elevó. Acogemos al voto solemne, que la patria le eterno elevó. Largo tiempo el peruano oprimido, luminosa cadena arrastró, condenado a una cruel servidumbre. Largo tiempo, largo tiempo, largo tiempo el silencio gimió, mas apenas el grito sagrado, libertad en sus costas se oyó. La indolencia de esclavos sacude, la humillada, la humillada, la humillada cerviz levantó, la humillada cerviz levantó, cerviz levantó. Somos libres, seamos, seamos, seamos por siempre, y ante niegue sus luces, sus luces, sus luces el sol, que faltemos al voto solemne, que la patria al eterno elevó, que faltemos al voto solemne, que la patria al eterno elevó, que faltemos al voto solemne, que la patria al eterno elevó.
Hello again. So the first song was paying homage to my mom's side of the family, and this one is for my dad's side of the family. I will be singing the Irish national anthem, and just a quick summary of its history. You know, the Irish were fighting for their independence against the English, and the song was often sung in protests, and actually banned as well and confiscated. And yeah, so it's also called the soldier song. So it's very much a song about taking back independence and fighting against forces that colonial forces. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
of course, besides national anthems, many countries, including this one, have other songs, patriotic songs, which are sung at special events and so on, right? So this one, I hope you recognize or know, America the Beautiful. You're welcome to stay seated, but please sing along. Did you notice the similarities in some of the tunes and some of the language, right? Some of the things you may have noticed or thought about before. Rhythmically, a lot of them are similar. They're either they're marches or they're hymn tunes. There's a lot of dotted rhythms in national anthems. Bum, ba, bum is stronger than bum, 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 bum. That dotted rhythm, bum, ba, bum, gives it energy. So you notice that a lot of national anthems, the Marseillaise, all of them have dotted rhythms in them, which give them sort of energy. But they're also strong, and as Carl pointed out, they can sound like hymns because they can be sung in religious settings, or they can sound like marches, or they can sound like both. What else did you notice about them, or you might have questions about? Or does anyone want to add? Is there anything musical that either of you could add to sort of the harmonies that are used, or anything like that?
They go up to the level of secondary dominance, right? To get kind of technical about it, but that's it. Except the Peruvian. That's
that
a real
really interesting.
Wow.
That has a really interesting change right in the middle.
We're going on another journey, right?
It's a lot of work.
Generally speaking, they're fairly square and then up to the level of secondary dominance.
Right, so that may be beyond your knowledge of music theory, and that's fine, but that's sort of the layman's approach is, as Dr. Darby says, they're more simplistic in harmonies. They're not challenging in harmonies in that regard. And that also gives them a sense of strength. There's often, of course, there's repetition. There can be the intervals of fourths and fifths, which are very strong acoustically and harmonically. There can be a lot of those jumps in the melody to fourths and fifths. Anything else that might?
I guess they tend to be hymns.
Yes.
So you don't want to do maybe too elaborate of an accompaniment, perhaps, in order to preserve that state of the hymn. What are your thoughts, Dr. Darby?
Yeah, that exactly, yeah. And also because some people are used to singing harmonies on these things, you have to be a little bit careful about straying too far from the original harmonies, as a pianist in particular. You don't want to get too funky with your harmony.
Yes.
People might be used to singing harmony lines, especially in the America the Beautiful and the national anthem. The
How
US
about for the singers? How does it feel to sing national anthems?
It feels good because I learned it when I was young, but I still remember, and there's a lot of repetition. I missed one of the repetitions, 2 or 3 times, and then it goes to the verse. And my hymn has 6 verses, because the Spaniards were not happy with the verse that I sung about the pressure and the chains and the blood.
Yeah.
So they decided to add more, and then recognize a little bit things, and then the general and everything. But then they went back in 1900 to say, no, this stays, because this one was the reality.
Yeah, you make a good point though, that sometimes there are more lyrics that we don't sing traditionally. I'm sure some of you might have, especially singing America the Beautiful at the end, could sing the first verse from memory, but then all of a sudden had to look on the screen for the second verse. It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot those other words. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream and so on, right? Not as typical to sing those, or we don't remember them as well. Yeah. What else?
No, that's true of La Marseillaise as well. I found that apparently there are 7 verses out there, and typically we only hear the one, but I guess there in France they go with 2, and that are kind of chosen from the rest of them. And what I wanted to say in terms of what I said, the thing about being hard to sing, it's not that it's technically so, it's just that it's got such energy to it. I'm exhausted after 2 pages of music to sing. That's why I was just like, oh my gosh, because there's just such an intensity to that song.
Right.
And then also I just wanted to point out, some of you have probably heard it before if you ever saw the movie Casablanca. In that big scene in the, but it gets interrupted in the middle because the Germans stand up and start singing there. So I never heard the whole thing before. So
Yeah. A musical battle going
yes,
on there, right?
exactly.
Yeah. And of course then when we have the experience of singing together, I mean it's, yes, you often hear national anthems by soloists at sporting events and so on, but then singing it together, right? I hope it got all the oxytocin levels going in your body, right? That's another element of it, that when they're sung together as a community, we start to feel good about those around us. That they're designed as well to take advantage of that. Just like singing in a choir, those of you that sing in a choir, it's also, you walk away often with a very good feeling because you've been sharing that musical experience. What else? Anything else about singing them?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it was a real privilege and honor to be able to sing 2 different languages from 2 different sides of my ancestry. I want to thank Dr. Garvey for helping me with the Gaelic. Yeah, it was just awesome that I got to collaborate with you, being that you are from Ireland. So that was
Yes.
And then again, thank you to Natalie for helping me transcribe the entire song. It was really awesome being able to sing those languages. It was challenging, definitely. They're 2 very different languages, 2 very different styles too. One song is very much like a soldier song, as it's called, and the other one's more, religious. It speaks to like God protect our island,
Yes.
So yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I can say, singing them, despite what your own political feelings might be or about whatever, it's singing national anthems. I mean, you can't help but feel good. I mean, they're sort of written that way, designed that way, so when you sing them, I mean, they make you as a singer actually physically feel good to be able to do it. Yeah.
In the French national anthem, I think I saw a line about, like, when the soldiers come and rip the throats from your children and your wives.
Yes. Yes.
Is that, like, the main verse? That
Yeah.
people, so
Yeah, it
that's their...
Yeah, it's like things are really desperate. We gotta get going. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And back in
No,
those days, there used to be a lot of wars, and it makes you feel very nationalist. It came into me, because I consider myself very American now, but then I remember my roots, and I thought, yes, I'm national, I'm bi-national.
Like, yes, a good point, right? And to notice that sometimes there can be violent language in them, right?
It's blood all over.
We have another question? Yes.
For the Peruvian, what does it mean que faltemos al voto solemne?
Oh, the translation is there. that we should fail the solemn vow which our country raised to God, the alto, when I say the light, el alto, and that we should fail the solemn vow which our country raised to God. We repeat that because we were like the chain we're holding like that, you know, and God is the one that make us believe that the liberation is coming, you know.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yes? Johnny, do you have a question? Good question, right? If you had to create a national anthem for your country, what ideas would you include in it? Or anybody can answer that. Speak out about that.
One thing I love about the Swedish anthem is the focus on nature and the country, the beauty of the country. I would definitely emphasize that. I would rewrite the national anthem to be a little bit more nature-centered.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for us, right, America the Beautiful, at least in this country, had much more reference to nature.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So references to nature, the beauty of the land that you live in.
One vote for nature.
One vote for nature.
Also about like the wars, like if you're from Mexico and you were gonna write like the national anthem about like the war that was going on in Mexico, and then between like the countries they were fighting against.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spanish are very dramatic, so they put the bad part first, but we suffer. But in reality, I should focus on being free, only free.
What other characteristics, what would you include?
I would include
We have
more
ours.
diversity, that all of our diverse nature of all these different people, and
That's a
millions
good
and
point,
millions, that are all basically the same because we are all Americans or Peruvians or whatever.
Right.
That message doesn't come across in ours at all.
No, that's right, and I mean that plays into the sort of controversy sometimes of these national anthems, is that they don't necessarily represent everyone. It might have been the case 100, 200 years ago when countries were more homogenous in their population, in their demographics, but you get into a country like ours now, which is such a, you know, cliche no intended, a melting pot of many different people. A tune like that written 100 years ago may not necessarily be as inclusive that it would be today if it were to be rewritten.
DEI.
Right.
So we have nature, we have diversity,
We have diversity, we have
Equity.
military or wars,
representation.
representation.
Equity.
I would definitely keep the spiritual aspect in there as well.
Okay.
You know, our connection to, you know, something bigger than ourselves, something, you know, maybe even within ourselves. Yeah, so, but I think that ties into nature and also
Yeah.
diversity. of
Yeah,
our-
it can come down to how you define
Yeah.
a higher power,
Yeah.
what that means to you, and so on.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Very good question.
You have another one? No?
Yeah.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions,
Great.
one more time, thank you very much.
Thank you.